Okay, hello. We just talked about the concept of blended learning and what exactly that means. So now I would like to discuss with you some of the models that are there for blended learning. Let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so I'll just put the screen on slide share. Just a second. Let's talk about the different models of blended learning. So if you see this first picture that is there in the presentation, you will see that there are so many different ways of blended learning, that right, starting from rotation models to face-to-face driver, online driver, enriched virtual model, flex model for learning, flipped classroom model, project-based, inside-out and outside-in learning models. So for the presentation, the one that we are going to be discussing right now, I have taken up 6 different models, and we will be discussing each one of them one by one. One is the station rotation model, station or lab rotation, the flex model, then the enriched virtual model of blended learning. Fourth one is the flipped classroom. Fifth is the mastery-based blended learning program. And the last one is the self-directed. So these are the 6 important ones, or the ones which are most frequently used. That is why I have taken these 6 to be discussed here. Starting with the first one, that is the station rotation or lab rotation blended learning model. Here the students, they go through the different stations that have been there according to a certain schedule. So if you can see from the picture that has been given over here, the entire process is divided into 3 different stations. There is one station which is led by the teacher, the instructor, the supervisor, guide, mentor. The person is giving the various concepts to the students. Then another station is the collaborative activity station, where the students are interacting with the peer groups, doing projects, doing activities. And the third one is the computer-based instruction. So if you had say, for example, you had a 60 student class, what you will do in the rotation model is that you divide those 60 into 3 models. So in effect, the teacher only has 20 students at a time working with her. The other 40 students are gainfully employed. 20 of them who are going through various activities, conducting different projects, and the 20 who are working online, gathering material related to the concepts that they are learning. So in effect, the teacher is dealing with only 10 students at that particular point of time. So she can give a lot of one-to-one sort of support and information to the students. Instead of having a class full of 60 students and difficulty in dealing with 60 students at the same time. So here the students are divided into smaller groups, and they are completing the activities that they are expected to do. So if you look at this, the question that might arise in your mind is that how is station rotation different from what is being done in the junior classes? Say, for example, in nursery, upper KG, lower KG, there also the class is divided into different groups, and the students are doing different activities. There may be one group who are of the students who are with the teacher who's teaching them, say, writing numbers or alphabets. There is another group which is doing coloring, and a third group which is playing. So how is this different from that kind of a structure? The most important difference between the two of them is that in this station rotation or lab rotation, the students are doing a lot of online learning as well. So they are not just moving from one station to another, they are also doing a lot of learning, and the major component of their learning is online. So they are taking additional information more than what is being taught to them in the class, and that information is enhancing the learning that they are going through in the classroom setting. Coming to the second one, that is the flex blended learning. Here you can see that just like the name suggests, it's a kind of a flexible learning system where a lot of learning is taking place online. In fact, the online learning becomes the backbone of the students' learning, and it influences or sort of encourages the students as far as the offline activities is concerned also. This is quite similar actually to what the UGC is asking us to do, that they are asking us to do some courses out of the entire syllabus that is being given to the students. They want us to do some courses online, from registering the students with the Arpit courses, so that the students are not only learning information from the teachers in a face-to-face situation, but they are also learning a lot of information from other sources, authentic sources online, which gives additional information to what they are doing offline as well. This also talks about doing projects and small group activities and individual one-to-one tutoring to enhance the students' learning experience. The third one is the enriched virtual blended learning. Here, the situation is where the student is doing almost the entire work online. The coursework is completed online. The student is doing at their own pace. The only time that they meet the teacher is when they are having some problem that they are facing, some doubts that they want to clarify. So this is entirely need based, the interaction with the teacher, and the students come to meet the teacher offline when they are having understanding some components online. So here the entire process is the entire learning, the entire coursework is through virtual tutoring, and the only time that the student meets the teacher offline is when they are having or facing some problem as far as the clarity of the material that they are learning. Coming to the next one, that is the flipped classroom. This is, I think, one of the easiest methods of blended learning that can be applied in our classroom settings. As the name suggests, the flipped classroom, it means that the entire process has been sort of flipped. You know that what was originally happening in the traditional method of classrooms, what was originally happening in class is now being done at home, and what was being done at home is actually what is being done in the class. That is, the material is all given to the information, all learning, everything is done online. The teacher sort of sends all the material to the student. The student goes through the entire material at home. So what happens in the classroom? So in the classroom, the student brings all that information that he or she has gathered online, the material that had been sent by the teacher, as well as the material from the links that had been sent by the teacher. And the student brings that entire material with him to the classroom. And in the classroom, there is discussion, there is a debate, there is peer learning, all these things happening within the classroom, so that the entire process of learning becomes more interesting for the student. He or she has already gathered the theoretical component of the material that he has to learn, and in the classroom we are doing discussions, and we are doing peer reviews, and we are doing, say, quiz assignments and all those other things which are done. So in a way, the information that is coming in the flipped classroom is far more than the information which was there in the traditional mode of teaching. And thereby we have a new term which is referred to as extended learning, which is part of the flipped classroom blended learning model. If you look at the picture over here, you can see the difference between what is being done in the traditional classroom and what is being done in the flipped classroom. So in the traditional classroom, you did the lesson in the class and you were given a homework or a home task which the student was supposed to complete at home and bring it the next day to get a feedback from the teacher. In the flipped classroom, the student has already gone through the theoretical components at home. When he comes to the classroom, he learns the application of those components that he has learned it at home. So the entire process has sort of flipped entirely. What was being done in the classroom is now being done at home, and what was being done at home earlier is now being done in the classrooms. Let's see the roles of the teacher and the student, how they are different in a flipped teaching method. So you can see that the teacher, what is the teacher doing at home? He or she is creating the video lecture and sharing that video lecture with the students. What is the student doing at home? The student is watching that lecture and making a list of all the questions or doubts that the student may be having. And what happens in school? The teacher is facilitating the discussions which are based on the lecture that the student has already seen. And then obviously the questions that the student has come up with, the teacher is answering those questions. What is the student doing in the classroom? The student is asking the questions based on the material that he or she has already learned or read, and the student is participating in the learning activities like projects or debates or discussions, whatever that is happening in the classroom. So you can see the role, there is a kind of a role reversal as far as the activities being done at home and the activities which are done in the classroom setup. The fifth model that I have taken over here is the mastery-based blended learning. All of us are familiar with the idea that there are some students who learn very quickly, and there are other students who take a bit of time as far as understanding the various concepts is concerned. This model helps the students to go through the entire process of learning at their own pace, and they continue to work at it till they have achieved a certain amount of mastery as far as that concept is concerned. So this helps, this allows the students to work through the entire concept, to be able to understand it, comprehend it, and apply it with the help of the teacher, as well as at the pace or the schedule that they want to work at. They do not necessarily have to move through all the different stations that have been prepared in the station rotation model, because there will, those students who are fast learners, they can move ahead much quicker than those students who take a little bit more time to understand the components. But at least by the end of it, all the students have learned. One student may have taken less time as compared to the other. The other may have taken more time as compared to student number one, but both of them have learned the component at the end of the time period. Many of us have, as teachers, come across the fact that the semester is over and there are some students who have learned the concepts very well, and there are other students who find it even difficult to pass through their exams. But in the mastery-based blended learning, each is learning at their own pace, and at the end of it, they have learned to a certain extent the various components of the educational process, all the aspects that the students were expected to learn. The sixth and the last model that I have taken up over here right now for our discussion is the self-directed blended learning. Here, the students sort of decide on their own what exactly it is that they want to learn. They use a combination of online and offline learning to sort of help them answer the questions that have arisen in their own mind. They achieve their formal as well as the informal learning goals. They connect with their mentors, guides, teachers, both physically and online, and sort of reach the goals that they have decided for themselves, that this is what they want to, they would like to learn. They uh, the biggest challenge over here is that there is no real formal course to complete as such, and the entire process is based on what the student has decided that he or she wants to learn. So why I have brought this over here, because this is a kind of a bridge to the next module or the next aspect that we will be discussing as far as blended learning is concerned. Because one of the challenges that the teachers have over here is how to assess the success of the students' learning in such a model. How would we know whether the learning has taken or has not taken place? Because the what wants to be learned is also decided by the student, whether he or she has learned what he or she had sort of set out to learn is also decided by the student. So how does the teacher understand, or how does the teacher judge whether there has been a success as far as the learning experience is concerned, without in any way de-authenticating the students' efforts? So this is quite a challenge as far as the teachers is concerned, and really a point to be appreciated as far as the implications of this kind of teaching method or learning method is concerned, as far as the teachers is concerned, vis-a-vis the teachers. So now the next aspect that I will be discussing will be the implications of blended learning for teachers. And that becomes very important because the entire concept of blended learning is student centric, and the focus has shifted from the teacher and the class being teacher directed to the student and the class being, or the learning process being, student centric. So what exactly does this entire shift mean as far as the teacher is concerned? So the next model I will be talking about, next module that I will be taking up, sorry, is the implications of blended learning for teachers. So as far as the models is concerned, I will be stopping right now and move on to the next module. Thank you so much.